They really command attention, don't they? Those sharp, athletic dogs with that really intelligent look.
Yeah, the Pinschers.
Exactly. We're diving into the Pinscher world today. You know, they share the name, which kind of hints at a connection, but the Doberman, the miniature, and the German Pinscher, they're all quite different.
Very distinct personalities, histories, needs. It's easy to lump them together, but they each have their own story.
Right. And that's what this deep dive is about, sort of unpacking those stories.
We want to look at where they came from, how they're connected, but also what makes each one unique. Temperament, training, living with them.
And the health stuff, that's crucial too.
Absolutely. Some specific things for each breed you really need to know.
So for this, we've looked at quite a bit. Vet resources on health conditions, breed club info, history.
Even some genetic research popping up now about certain health issues.
Our goal, as always, is to pull out the key takeaways, the important bits from all that.
Yeah, to give you a really solid understanding of what makes these breeds tick, what makes them special, and maybe sometimes a bit of a challenge.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. The name Pinscher. What's that actually about?
Well, it probably comes from the English word pinch, or maybe the French pincer.
Meaning to grab something.
Exactly, to grip or seize. It's not about their attitude, though some might think that. It's about their old job.
Which was?
They were originally ratters, bred to be quick, good at catching vermin. That sort of snappy, reactive thing is just baked in.
Ah, okay, so it's about the job they did. And they all come from a common ancestor.
They do seem to share roots. The German Pinscher is generally considered the oldest of these three. It pops up in the German stud book way back like 1880.
So it's the original model, in a way.
Pretty much. It's seen as the ancestor not just for the Doberman and the Min Pin, but also, surprisingly, for the Schnauzers, too.
Really? Schnauzers?
Yeah. Apparently, way back, you could get smooth-coated Pinschers and rough-coated Schnauzers in the very same litter.
Huh. You don't hear that connection often. So the German Pinscher is the old-timer. Where does the miniature Pinscher fit in? Is it just a tiny Doberman, like people think?
No, definitely not. That's a super common mix-up. But the Min Pin is actually older than the Doberman.
Older? Wow.
Yeah. It came from that older German Pinscher line, but likely with some Dachshund and maybe Italian Greyhound mixed in way back.
Interesting.
In Germany, they used to call it the Reh Pinscher.
Reh. Like a deer.
Exactly. Because the solid red ones looked a bit like a small red deer, and its job, just like the German Pinscher, was mostly catching rats.
Fascinating. So the little king of toys is actually pretty ancient and not a Doberman mini-me. Now, the German Pinscher, you said it's old, but it nearly didn't make it, right?
That's true. It had a really tough time after the World Wars, almost wiped out.
Oh, wow.
Its survival is really down to some dedicated people who worked hard to bring it back, and part of that involved using some oversized miniature Pinschers to rebuild the breed lines.
Shows resilience. And its original role was more than just rats.
Yeah, it was kind of an all-around farm dog. Handled vermin, sure, but also did some guarding.
Okay. Which leads us nicely to the Doberman Pinscher. The newcomer on the block, relatively speaking.
Much newer, yes. The Doberman was deliberately created, developed by Herr Louis Doberman in Germany, late 19th century, maybe around 1890 or so.
And he had a specific goal.
He did. He wanted a serious guard dog, something reliable, imposing. He was apparently a tax collector, among other things, so personal protection was likely on his mind.
Makes sense. And the recipe. What went into the Doberman?
Well, the generally accepted ingredients are the old type of German Shepherd dog, the smooth coat, bobtail kind, looked different back then.
Right.
The black and tan German Pinscher, definitely, and an ancestor of the modern Rottweiler.
I've also heard maybe Manchester Terrier.
Yes, that's often mentioned. Probably to refine the look, get that sleeker coat, maybe influence the head shape, the eye color.
Any others possibly in the mix?
There's always speculation, maybe some Greyhound for speed. Some even suggest breeds like the Blue Great Dane might explain where the blue coat color came from eventually. It's hard to know for sure now.
And there's another key figure, Otto Galler.
Right. Herr Doberman passed away, and Otto Galler kind of picked up the baton. He refined the breed and wrote the first standard around 1899.
What was his focus?
Temperament was apparently a big thing for Galler. He wanted more than just a guard. He aimed for a dog that was stable, smart, trainable, fearless, yes, but also, pleasant enough to live with.
An interesting balance to strike.
Definitely. And it's interesting that early Dobermans were often a bit shorter than they are today. The breed seems to have gotten taller over time.
And wasn't there a story about an early show dog, temperament-wise?
Yeah, the anecdote about the Doberman that won Dustin Show at Madison Square Garden back in, 1939?
That's the one.
Reportedly, it was so aggressive the judges couldn't even get their hands on it, which maybe shows that achieving that stable temperament Gawler aimed for was still a work in progress back then.
Quite a picture. Okay, so we had the German Pinscher roots, the Min Pin branching off early, and the Doberman created later. Physically, size is obvious, but what else sets them apart visually?
Yeah, size is the big one. Min Pin's the smallest, 10 to 12.5 inches maybe. German Pinscher's medium, around 17.5 to 19.5 inches. Doberman's the largest. Males can be up around 27 inches.
Big difference. But the coat's similar.
All share that short, smooth coat, and that alert expression, they all have that.
Colors.
Furman and miniature pinchers often come in solid reds or fawns, or you see black or blue with those tan markings.
Like the Doberman.
Similar markings, yeah. Doberman started mainly black and tan, then brown and tan came along fairly early. The blue and fawn colors emerged later.
And that unique Min Pin walk.
Oh yeah, the Hackney-like gait, it's very distinctive. That high-stepping trot, really animated, like a little Hackney horse. You don't see that in the other two.
It really is unique. Okay, so active, intelligent breeds. What's it like living with them? Training?
Well, the big common factor is high energy and high intelligence. For all three.
Not couch potatoes then.
Definitely not. They need serious daily exercise. And, importantly, mental stimulation too. If they get bored.
Trouble.
Yeah, you're likely going to see issues. Barking, chewing things up, just general restlessness and mischief. They need a job, or at least something to think about.
Dobermans are known for being smart and trainable, but I hear the puppies can be intense.
Intense is a good word. They are super smart, very eager to please their people, incredibly loyal. But Doberman puppies, often described as rambunctious, sometimes people jokingly call them little velociraptors.
Because of the nipping?
Exactly, that energetic play and mouthiness. So early, consistent, positive training and socialization are just non-negotiable for Dobermans.
To channel that drive.
Yes, channel the intelligence, the drive in the right direction. It's absolutely key to prevent problems, potential aggression even, down the line.
And the miniature Pinscher. Small dog, big attitude.
Totally. King of toys, they call it, and for good reason. They're described as fearless, super animated, always curious, just buzzing with life.
Sounds like a handful.
They can be. That high energy and curiosity mean you need to supervise them closely. Training takes patience, consistency. They've got a stubborn streak, very independent thinkers sometimes.
And they're delicate physically.
Yes, that's important. Gentle handling is a must, especially with kids. Despite their confidence, they're small and can get hurt easily. But underneath all that energy, they are fiercely loyal and very affectionate with their families.
How does the German Pinscher fit in, temperament-wise?
The German Pinscher, it's kind of like having the drives of a bigger working dog, but in a medium body. They still have that strong prey drive from the ratting days.
And strong-willed.
Very. Sources really stress they need a confident owner, someone who can take charge. If you don't give clear leadership, they'll probably step into that role themselves.
But trainable.
Oh yes, very willing learners. They can do really well in things like dog sports, agility, obedience, but they need that firm, gentle, consistent discipline.
So it sounds like a recurring theme. Smart, active dogs needing more than just a walk.
Exactly. Physical exercise is vital, yes, but it's just not enough on its own for these breeds. You have to challenge their minds.
Keep those brains busy.
Mental engagement is just as crucial as running around. It keeps them happy, stops them inventing their own, possibly destructive games, makes them better companions overall.
You know, this is where structured mental stimulation becomes so valuable, especially for breeds like these Pinschers.
Definitely.
Using things like games, interactive activities, it's such a great way to channel that energy.
Right?
And engage their intelligence, build a stronger bond, too.
Absolutely. Positive outlets for their smarts.
There are actually programs designed specifically for this, like Adrian Faricelli's Brain Training for Dogs. It uses games and activities really focused on improving behavior by boosting their problem-solving skills. It basically makes them smarter and better behaved through fun.
That sounds like a really good fit for these kinds of dogs.
Yeah, it's a great resource if you're looking for effective, positive ways to train and connect with your Pinscher. We'll put a link so you can learn more in the description for this deep dive, and also in the first pinned comment.
Good idea. Now, you mentioned the Doberman puppy biting earlier.
Yeah.
That velociraptor phase.
Yes. Let's talk about managing that. It's common, right?
Oh, very common for puppies in general, exploring the world with their mouths, teething. But with a potentially powerful dog like a Doberman, managing it effectively is crucial for developing good bite inhibition.
Teaching them not to bite hard.
Exactly, so they grow into polite adults.
So what works? What do the sources suggest?
Several things. One big one is consistent redirection. Always have good chew toys ready,
Swap it out.
right? Puppy starts nipping you, immediately offer an appropriate toy. Redirect that chewing instinct onto something acceptable. Freezing a chew toy can also feel really good on sore gums if they're teething.
And teaching bite inhibition itself.
Yes, that's key. It's about teaching them how hard is too hard. So if the puppy bites you too hard during play,
Yelp.
yeah, a sharp, surprised yelp or a firm ouch. Then immediately stop playing. Withdraw your attention for just a few seconds.
Like another dog would react.
Exactly. It mimics how littermates or their mom might react if play gets too rough. It teaches the puppy, especially a sensitive Doberman, hey, that hurt. Play stops when you bite that hard.
And then what?
Once they calm down for a moment, you can try playing again, if they're being gentle. Or just redirect to a toy, if they're still too worked up. Sources make it clear this isn't about being the alpha or dominating them. It's just clear communication.
Socialization helps with this too, I imagine.
Hugely important. Lots of positive supervised interactions with nice, vaccinated dogs and different people helps them learn those social cues. Learn bite inhibition from other dogs too.
Maybe play dates are better than dog parts sometimes.
Often yes, especially when they're young. Supervised playdates with known appropriate dogs can be much more controlled and positive than the potential chaos of a dog park.
And the overall training approach should be positive.
Absolutely. Reward gentle play, reward not biting, with praise, treats, more fun play.
What should you avoid doing?
Sources strongly advise against punitive methods. Things like pushing the puppy away forcefully, grabbing their muzzle, scruffing them, especially with Dobermans who can be sensitive around the head and neck.
It could backfire.
It can. It might make them more anxious, defensive, or even escalate the biting. Positive reinforcement, teaching them what you want them to do instead, builds trust and works much better long term.
Okay, so no physical confrontations. What about timeouts?
Timeouts can be useful, but calmly. If biting happens, calmly remove the puppy from the fun for a very short period. It's not a punishment in a crate, just a signal that biting makes the good stuff stop.
And basic obedience.
Definitely helps. Teaching commands like sit, stay, leave it gives you ways to proactively manage their behavior. See them getting nippy. Ask for a sit to redirect their focus.
That sounds like it takes patience. And everyone in the house needs to be on the same page.
Consistency is everything. It's a phase, but it takes time and a unified approach to get through it effectively. And, if you're really struggling, don't wait. Get help from a qualified professional.
Good advice. Someone certified? Using positive methods?
Ideally, yes. Fear-free trainers are great.
Okay, let's shift gears to general care and health. What are the basics for these breeds?
Well, routine care is pretty similar for all three. A good quality diet, obviously, matched to their age and how active they are.
Exercise.
Appropriate exercise, yeah. Enough to meet their needs, but be careful not to overdo it, especially with young puppies or in really hot or cold weather.
Grooming.
Pretty low maintenance, actually. Their short coats just need regular brushing to handle shedding. Baths aren't needed very often. Nail trims are important, keep those regular.
Anything else?
Supervising them is key, particularly Dobermans sometimes. They can be prone to chewing and swallowing things they shouldn't. Rocks, socks, bits of toys. You want to prevent that.
Vet checkups.
Absolutely essential. Follow your vet's schedule for exams, vaccinations, and honestly, given some of the potential health issues, pet health insurance is definitely something to seriously consider for these breeds.
Right, let's get into those breed-specific health concerns. The Doberman list seemed quite long in the sources.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dobermans are predisposed to several serious conditions. Two really big ones are dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM, and bloat or GDV.
DCM, the heart problem.
Right. The heart muscle gets weak, enlarges, and can't pump blood effectively. It's devastating. Symptoms might be subtle at first weakness, tiring easily, maybe fainting, or difficulty breathing later on.
Can you screen for it?
Yes, regular cardiac screening, like ECGs, often starting when they're fairly young, is really important for monitoring. Treatment usually involves medications. Sometimes supplements like taurine are discussed.
And bloat sounds terrifyingly fast.
It is. Gastric dilatation and volvulus GDV. It's a massive emergency. The stomach fills with gas, and then it can twist on itself, cutting off blood supply.
And Dobermans are prone because of their shape.
Their deep, narrow chest conformation puts them at higher risk. It can kill a dog very, very quickly, sometimes in minutes or hours.
What are the signs to watch for?
Trying to vomit but nothing comes up, or just producing foam. Restlessness, pacing, a swollen, hard belly. Sometimes they stand in a prayer position, front end down, back end up. If you see these signs, it's an immediate race to the emergency vet.
Is there anything preventative?
There's a preventative surgery, a gastropexy. They surgically tack the stomach to the body wall. It doesn't stop the stomach filling with gas, the bloat part, but it aims to prevent the deadly twisting, the volvulus. It's often done at the same time as spay-neuter.
Wow. Those two are major. What else is on the Doberman list?
Sources also mention hemophilia, the blood clotting disorder, needs testing. Liver disease, like chronic hepatitis, is another concern, often picked up on routine blood work during checkups as they get older.
Neurological issues.
Wobbler syndrome, yeah. It's an instability in the neck vertebrae that can compress the spinal cord, causing that characteristic wobbly gait.
Eyes. Thyroid.
Older Dobermans can get cataracts. Hypothyroidism, underactive thyroid, is also pretty common. Signs can be lethargy, weight gain, skin problems, hair loss, even changes in behavior, usually managed with daily medication after blood tests.
Anything else common?
Dental disease is very common in dogs generally, so home care is important. And because they're active, they can be prone to things like ligament tears, especially in the knees. The cruciate ligament often needs surgery. Keeping them lean helps reduce risk. It's a lot to be aware of. Vigilance is key.
It really is a significant list for potential Doberman owners.
Yep.
Okay, how about the miniature Pinscher? Healthier overall?
Generally, yes, they're considered relatively healthy, but they have their own things. Patellar luxation is one that's where the kneecap slips out of place, fairly common in small breeds.
Skin issues.
Demodectic mange can occur, yeah, it's caused by mites.
And the sources mentioned something called leg calf Perthes disease. LCPD.
Yes, LCPD. That's a developmental hip problem, mostly seen in toy and miniature broods. Usually shows up when they're young puppies, maybe 4 to 11 months old.
What actually happens?
The head of the femur bone, the ball part of the hip joint, starts to degenerate. Basically, the blood supply gets compromised and the bone dies.
Ouch. Sounds painful.
It is. You'll see lameness, pain when moving the hip, maybe muscle wasting in that leg. It usually gets progressively worse. Diagnosis is typically via x-rays, looking at the shape of the femoral head, plus considering the breed and age.
What are the treatment options? Is it fixable?
Surgery is usually the recommended route for a good outcome. The most common procedure is called a femoral head ostectomy, or FHO.
What does that involve?
They actually remove the damaged head and neck of the femur bone.
Really? And they can walk after that?
Surprisingly well, often. The body forms a sort of false joint with scar tissue and muscle. It relieves the pain of bone-on-bone grinding, and most small dogs adapt really well and regain good function. Conservative management, like just rest and pain meds, rarely works well for LCPD.
Surgery sounds expensive, though.
It can be, yes, so it's
Yeah.
definitely something potential pin owners should be aware of.
Is LCPD genetic?
It's known to have a strong genetic component, yeah. Often thought to be inherited, maybe as an autosomal recessive trait, though the exact genetics can be complex.
And there's research happening.
Yes, we saw information about ongoing research specifically looking at LCPD in miniature pinschers.
What are they trying to find out?
They're trying to nail down the specifics of how it's inherited in min pins, identify the mode of transmission, maybe find genetic markers. The goal is to give breeders better tools to screen for it and hopefully reduce how often it occurs.
That could help other small breeds, too, potentially.
Exactly. Understanding the genetics in one breed could offer insights for others facing the same problem. It's all about improving health through science.
Very important work.
Yeah.
Okay, lastly, the German Pinscher's health. What did the sources say?
Based on the material we looked at, the German Pinscher was described as generally a pretty healthy and hardy breed overall. The sources didn't highlight major prevalent issues like they did for the other two.
Good to know. Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into this fascinating Pinscher family, we've gone from their shared German roots
Right, seeing how the ancient German Pinscher gave rise to the others.
to how the Min Pin developed early on, and the Doberman was created much later with specific goals.
We've touched on their personalities, all intelligent, energetic, but with distinct traits. The Doberman's trainability and intensity, the Min Pin's huge personality in a small package, the German Pinscher's working dog drive.
And the absolute need for consistent training and mental challenges for all of them. They need more than just physical exercise.
Crucially. And we covered the health landscape, the serious concerns for Dobermans like DCM and bloat, the specific orthopedic issues like LCPD potentially facing min pins, and the relative robustness of the German Pinscher based on our info.
Understanding all these things, the history, the temperament, the specific needs and health risks, it's just vital, isn't it? Whether you already love one of these dogs or you're thinking about getting one.
Absolutely. Providing the right environment, the right kind of training, that mental stimulation we talked about, and proactive healthcare. That's how you help them be the amazing, loyal, engaging dogs they're meant to be.
You know, thinking about that genetic research, like for LCPD and min pins, or the ongoing work on DCM and Dobermans, it really drives home how intertwined a breed's history, its physical form, and its health can be.
It really does.
It kind of makes you think about the continuous effort involved in understanding and supporting the health of these breeds. Our knowledge keeps growing, keeps evolving. It poses a question, really. What's the next breakthrough genetic science might uncover that could change how we care for these dogs we love?
It's a fascinating question for the future, definitely.
Well, we really hope you've enjoyed this journey through the world of Pinschers with us today. Hopefully you learned something new about these impressive dogs.
We always appreciate you joining us for these explorations.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Join us again for our next meeting.